Yeah, man. I just woke up, right? It's like 8:53 a.m., and I dreamed about man. I was talking to him. You know what I'm saying? He came to see me, man. We was in Halifax, and I don't know, I was just coming from somewhere. And I'm like, this is July 9th. It was like 8:53, right? Just woke up, was talking to man. It's like he's still kind of fresh in my mind. It's like one of those dreams where you just wake up from the dream. It wasn't something that was I dreamed earlier, and you can barely, think about what it is or remember what it is. I actually just woke up from the dream, and we was talking about him, but I was talking about him like I was talking about in remembrance of somebody of him, but I was talking to him and I didn't really make that distinction. So, like I said, we was just sitting there, we was just talking, man. And, I pulled out, like I reached in my pocket, I was like, yo, I think I got some weed, right? So I pulled, I wanted to, I had some weed. So I pulled it out, but it was in a plastic bag, but it looked like it was corn. Like it was like corn. Like, Dad, where the weed at? Like ain't nothing but corn left in the bag. And then reached in his pocket and pulled out some big chunks of weed, right? So I was like, yeah, we got weed. So then I was like, man, I'm glad that, man, when I was coming up, when we was coming up, that all these drugs like lean and all this type of stuff wasn't around, because like I would be out there, you know what I mean? And then we started talking about, I started kicking the knowledge to him, and then I started talking about death. I remember this distinctly. I was like, nobody never came back to tell. We was talking about life or death. I was like, when you die, we gonna find out what the deal is. It's funny that I'm saying this because it's just real crazy. Because I was like, you know what? When you die, man, we don't know what's gonna happen. I said, but when you do, that's when you gonna find out what it is and what it's not. And I was like, it's nobody ain't never came back to tell, so we don't know what happens when you die. You know what I mean? We was going back and forth. Then Gene Hill came down, came down the sidewalk towards us. Oh yeah, then he pulled out some edibles. Right? It's funny that he pulled out some edibles. He pulled out some edibles. It was like some pies, some type of pies, like apple pies. It was like some square pies, but they were edibles. And I remember I bit into one. He was talking about, yo, like that joint right there, like yo, like it's gonna, it's gonna get you blazed. So I bit into one, and then I remember I tasted it, and then I bit into the other one, and then Gene Hill came down the sidewalk to walking towards us, and he was saying, mumbling something, and I don't know if he said something like man told it or something like that. And then man was like, yo, he high, you know what I'm saying? Like Gene high, you know what I'm saying? Off that, and and then he turned around, Gene went back up the sidewalk. We was on that I'm gonna tell you exactly where we were in Halifax. You know where I stayed on Harp Terrace on the outside street. Then Lou stayed on the next parking lot. Then the next parking lot down, right in the middle, like right there on that next parking lot. I can't think who stayed down there on that parking lot. That's where we was at. That third parking lot coming from on my end from Harp Street. You know what I mean? We was right there. And it's just funny, man. It's just funny because when T Man died, T Man came to see me too. Right there, I was walking through Halifax, right coming out my house, and T Man popped up right there, and he was talking to me, and he started talking to me about death. He was like, "Man, it ain't like everybody say it is." You know what I mean? Like he was like, as far as it being bad, and it's just funny, man. The fellas be coming to see me, man. You know what I'm saying? I told you that was my dude, And like I said, it's just some key things we talked about death. You know what I'm saying? I start kicking the knowledge. So when we talked about death, I say ain't nobody never came back to tell you what is, whether there's life after death. Me and him was sitting there rapping about it, and he did. He didn't come back to tell me about it, but he came back to talk to me. And so whether this is some type of, my mind doing this or not, but I just wondered, even before this happened, I thought about him, like, would he come see me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I hadn't dreamed about him or nothing like that. I was like, with that, I ain't never dreamed nothing about him since he passed. I don't know, you know, I don't know what's up with that. You know what I mean? I wonder, do he know about me up here? I wonder, he know about how I'm doing up here, or anything. That's how I was thinking. And then I just dreamed about him, man. I just dreamed about it. It was just as clear as day, man. So I was going to write this and put this on Facebook, but I said I might as well do a live on it so you can hear it, man. So that you can hear it. Maybe you talk to him, in your own way. We all, he's gonna manifest to us in our own way, whether it's a memory, whether you can be daydreaming, because you can daydream about somebody too. When you daydream, you're off on that place for that moment, but you're not laying down sleeping. You know what I mean? You might catch it like that. You might catch a thought. You might catch an action. You might receive some money. You might receive something. You might find something. You know what I mean? He might put something in your path for you. So, it's just good, man. But it came to me. It's gonna come. He's gonna come to you in the way that you remember, or in a way that's best fit for you. Just like with me, I'm into the knowledge real hard. So when I build with him, I built with him the way we used to build. You know what I mean? And how I used to kick knowledge with him. And then I got something for me out of that on my quest for the meaning of life. He gave me a piece of that to kind of go to the puzzle, you know, of what's the meaning of life and what's the next level. You know what I mean? So let me get off this horn, man.